The continuing civil fraud lawsuit has further complexity as a result of her focus on Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida as a possible weak point. She made the argument that Mar-a-Lago has symbolic significance as a symbol of Trump's affluence and notoriety. The incident involving the resort has the potential to seriously harm Trump's reputation. And your financial situation? Leticia James, the Attorney General of New York, started the action, which has grown from a $250 million claim to a $370 million one. The interest claim further highlights the severity of the accusations against Trump, his adult sons, and the Trump Organization. I'll then go over everything with you in this video. Please click the subscribe button and enable notifications before I continue so that you may begin receiving our daily breaking news. I'm grateful. They face charges of engaging in fraudulent activities by inflating the worth of their assets to secure favorable tax deals and bank loans. In September 2023, Judges Arthur and Warrant, who were supervising the case, had earlier declared that Trump and his allies had committed civil fraud. The trial has been a major source of disagreement, with Trump insisting on his innocence throughout the hearings. The trial has focused on whether Trump violated any other New York statutes and the appropriate punishment. The court battle has escalated significantly as James's legal team has proposed a permanent ban on Trump's involvement in the New York real estate market, in addition to the higher financial penalties. Additionally, they suggested banning Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. for 5 years. Mary Trump's remarks on Substack on her uncle's possible demise because of the Mar-a-Lago home give the case a distinct viewpoint. Considering her strained connection with the Trumps and her prior accusations against her uncle, her research offers a potentially essential element for comprehending the intricate connection between the court battles and Trump's enormous corporate empire. Trump's post-presidential life and reputation are clearly in jeopardy while a legal drama plays out, especially in light of the escalating financial charges and the planned prohibitions. Furthermore, the resolution of this issue may have a profound effect on Trump's power and function in American politics, in addition to his financial and legal situation. In fact, people have taken notice of the peculiar theological illusions in Donald Trump's 2024 campaign film that show him as a divine figure. Trump released the 3-minute campaign video, titled "God Made a Warrior," on his Truth Social account. In it, he describes himself in messianic terms, calling himself the Messiah and the nation's custodian. Is a parody of radio personality Paul Harvey's "So God Made a Farmer" speech. Trump praised himself in this gaudy film, referring to himself as God's selected custodian of the United States. At the opening of the movie, his birthdate, June 14, 1946, is mentioned, implying that God perceived paradise and deemed the country in need of a guardian. He is referred to as a shepherd to mankind, one who will never abandon or forsake them, and one who tends to the flock. In the middle of Trump's ongoing legal battles and disqualification from the Maine and Colorado primary elections, his campaign staff unveiled a film that echoes the views of some Christian nationalists. Trump seems determined to maintain his lead in the run-up to the upcoming GOP caucus, as seen by the Supreme Court of the United States' decision to hear his appeal of the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling. The movie continues to extol the virtues of the former president's work ethic, implying that God needed someone who would rise early in order to confront Marxism, handle domestic issues, and go to late-night meetings with international leaders. It describes a man whose arms are powerful enough to battle the deep state, yet whose gentleness allows him to give birth to his own granddaughter. Along with bragging about Trump's economic expertise and getting the World Economic Forum under control, the film implies that he is aware of the connection between tariffs and inflation. The Justice Department sentenced Christopher Worrell, a member of the far-right group Proud Boys, to 10 years in prison for his role in the January 6, 2021, Capitol riot. This sentence emphasizes the gravity of his acts and the dedication of the Justice Department to seek harsher punishments for people who use deceitful methods and try to avoid justice. The Worrell's case took a sharp turn just days before his initial sentencing when he pulled off his GPS ankle monitor in a Walmart parking garage and left a note for his probation officer, as Breitbart reported on Saturday, January 6, 2024. This move initiated a nationwide FBI manhunt. Which culminated in Worrell's capture after he made a covert attempt to return to his home. The FBI eventually discovered that Worrell had staged his apparent lack of response and the open container of narcotic prescription medications in order to prolong the inquiry. This tactic draws attention to the difficulties authorities have encountered in dealing with the court's ruling and the legal fallout from the Capitol riot. Imposing a 10-year prison sentence on him demonstrates the gravity of his actions and establishes a precedent for the punishment of those involved. The Justice Department contended that Worrell's escape prior to an earlier sentencing hearing on January 6, 2021, showed contempt for the court system, a lack of regret, and a deliberate misrepresentation of his condition. Donald Trump, the former president. Those whose followers were heavily involved in the Capitol riot are still contentious figures in American politics. Worrell's affiliation with the Proud Boys, an organization notorious for its far-right ideology and ties to Donald Trump, further complicates the convoluted narrative surrounding the events of January 6. As the legal process progresses, Worrell's sentence serves as a clear reminder that responsibility is being sought. The 10-year prison sentence serves as a stark warning to those involved in the Capitol riot that their acts have serious repercussions. Their acts will not go unpunished. The Capitol riot, in which hundreds of Trump supporters broke into the U.S. Capitol building, was a sad chapter in American history. We must support the dedication to upholding law and order and confront the aftermath of that historic day. Christopher Worrell's sentencing marks a significant turning point in the larger endeavor to hold people responsible for their actions in the violence. It also draws attention to the difficulties that law enforcement faces. When addressing individuals who try to avoid punishment and mislead authorities, Attorney General Leticia James of New York demanded $370 million in damages. Former President Donald Trump attacked the allegations, calling them evidence of a witch hunt within the Department of Justice. Chefs at 2024 took to social media on January 5. Raw Story reported that Trump tweeted about the request. Trump tweeted, claiming that his financial statements were superb, extremely conservative, and that he had done nothing wrong. They are entitled to payment. What a witch hunt that is. According to Trump, this is prosecutorial misconduct. Nonetheless, there are significant flaws in Trump's reasoning. To start, Leticia James is not affiliated with the federal Justice Department. She is New York's Attorney General. Furthermore, even though she is the director of the state's Department of Law, the idea of a Doge LED witch hunt seems out of place. Furthermore, Special Counsel Jack Smith brought her allegations before federal criminal courts, while James filed them in a state civil court. While Smith is accusing Trump of illegally holding onto private information, James's case focuses on allegations that Trump and his associates committed fraud by inflating the value of their real estate. Are banks and investors being misled? Friday marked a turning point in the lengthy legal battle. In court, each party gave their last remarks. Trump turned his attention to the states, stressing how businesses were quitting New York and how the state's judicial system was harming the state's economy. In a later tweet, Trump reiterated his denial of wrongdoing while adopting a less combative stance and directing attention toward himself by stating, "No victims, no crime, great financial statements." In addition to this legal battle, Special Counsel Jack Smith is looking into allegations against Trump about the 2020 election and the handling of classified material. As they wait for the state civil court's decision on Leticia James' $370 million demand, the public is keenly observing the legal spectacle that has resulted in a tense relationship between Trump and the Attorney General. Attorney General of New York Leticia James has filed a $370 million civil fraud lawsuit against Donald Trump. This is happening while the Colorado case, which is crucial to Trump's chances of winning the presidency in 2024, is scheduled for a Supreme Court investigation. During his Iowa speech, President Trump expressed his hope for fair treatment, as reported by The Hill on Saturday, January 6, 2020. The state Supreme Court barred Trump off the primary ballot last month, citing his role in the January 6 rebellion and a dire threat to the country if they do not. This led to the current case. He charged that Democrats were putting political pressure on justices to render particular decisions. Using the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause as support, he claimed that some were claiming he had total power over the Supreme Court and that their decisions would ruin their reputation. The insurrection clause of the 14th Amendment, which states that a person who has assisted or taken part in a national rebellion is ineligible to hold public office, is essential to Colorado. According to this clause, a person who has assisted or taken part in a national rebellion is ineligible to hold public office. This clause uses Trump's actions during the Capitol disturbances on January 6 as an illustration. This lawsuit's verdict, which will impact Trump's chances in Colorado, is expected to have broad ramifications that will resolve similar conflicts in over a dozen states. Many states are challenging Trump's eligibility to vote, and in Maine, the same problem has already prevented him from casting a ballot. The more heated the legal battle gets, the more urgent it is to find out whether the Supreme Court will clear up any remaining doubts about Trump's eligibility to run for president in 2024. As it settles the intricate legal concerns surrounding Trump's alleged role in the January 6 rebellion, The case started by the U.S. Supreme Court will command much attention over the coming weeks. The proprietor of Minocqua Brewing Company is Kirk Bangstad. Kirk Bangstad argues that Donald Trump's claimed involvement in an insurrection disqualifies him from serving in public office. This litigation is based on the third provision of the 14th Amendment, which was ratified following the Civil War. Stad's complaint and others of a similar nature contend that Trump is ineligible to hold public office due to his actions on January 6, 2021. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment states that a person who has committed an act of rebellion or insurrection against the Constitution is ineligible to hold public office, unless a pardon is later granted by a two-thirds majority vote in Congress. Bangstad underlined in his remarks on Wisconsin Public Radio that they had tried and convicted hundreds of people in connection with the January 6 incidents, which they said Trump had incited. Stay tuned, as we'll be covering every turn and twist of this rapidly developing story. Please share your opinions in the comments section. For more updates, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thus, Rosie ODonnell isn't keeping her opinions about Donald Trump to herself. In response to this fresh report from the House Democrats, she is pursuing him. The study claims that during his administration, Trump's companies received millions of dollars in foreign currency. According to the report, Trump received at least $7.8 million from at least 20 foreign countries, including Saudi Arabia and Qatar. This is a serious issue since it violates the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, which forbids elected officials from accepting funds from foreign governments without the consent of Congress. This report sheds a great deal of light on Trump's moral and legal principles during his presidency. It's absolutely something to consider. When it comes to criticism, Rosie ODonnell isn't holding back, and she's not the only one. Many people believe that there has been a betrayal of the public's confidence, and they are seeking an explanation and accountability. Trump's business transactions have apparently been the subject of a protracted investigation since the start of his first term in 2016, and the House Oversight and Accountability Committee recently published a comprehensive report on the subject. According to this article, Trump's companies have allegedly been profiting greatly from agreements with foreign nations, which is a serious breach of the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the Constitution. The purpose of this section is to shield elected officials from conflicts of interest and improper interference from foreign governments. The study strictly forbids elected officials from accepting funds from foreign countries without first obtaining Congress's consent. Throughout his presidency, Rosie ODonnell has been a vocal opponent of President Trump. She responded to the revelation of the call to imprison him with fervor, recalling her accidental encounter with Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential campaign. The revelation of the call to imprison him highlights the severity of the accusations. O'Donnell's outspoken denunciation aligns with the prevailing call for responsibility and strikes a chord with many who feel that moral principles have been violated. The Foreign Emoluments Clause, which is the subject of these accusations, is an important topic of discussion in the continuing debate about moral behavior in public office. According to the reports, there was a direct legal violation of this constitutional provision during the investigation of Trump's financial affairs. Future interpretations of this constitutional protection could be impacted by this. Many people doubt Eric Trump's claim that international revenues were generously given to the U.S. Treasury. Democrats in Congress have just published an extensive report that charges the Trump Organization with accepting large sums of money from outside countries while his father was president. The House Oversight Committee's lengthy 200-page report has sparked worries about possible conflicts of interest and improper financial behavior. In response, Eric Trump angrily refuted these accusations on social media, insisting that all foreign government profits, including those from stays at Trump properties, were voluntarily donated to the U.S. Treasury. Critics counter that he has provided no evidence to support his claim, therefore, it remains unproven and unconfirmed in the absence of appropriate documentation. After the House Oversight Committee made its report public, Eric Trump spoke, shedding light on the Trump Organization's financial transactions with foreign nations. The Emoluments Clause, which strongly prohibits federal officials from accepting gifts or payments from foreign governments without the approval of Congress, may have been broken, as this study has raised questions about it. It's important to note that House Republicans, notably those on the Oversight Committee, have spent most of their time looking into the business ties of President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden, especially with China. This probe sounds familiar because it resembles the efforts made by former President Trump and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to persuade Ukrainian authorities to open an investigation into the Bidens during their own tenure in government. However, there is no proof to back up Eric Trump's self-assured declaration that the proceeds were given to the U.S. Treasury. In other words, there has been questionable activity regarding the Trump Organization's handling of foreign currency. This raises many questions about conflicts of interest and the ethical conduct of the Trump Organization. The House Oversight Committee's report, according to critics, demonstrates the urgent need for further investigation to ensure that our elected officials are handling their money honestly and responsibly. The research is intensifying the ongoing discussion about the extent of foreign entities' influence on our politics and the degree to which our public leaders are entangled in financial webs. Of course, this whole topic is generating a lot of disputes because politics is so split. Until hard evidence is presented, skeptics question Eric Trump's claims of willingly giving earnings to the U.S. Treasury. There is an urgent need for thorough investigations and open disclosure of financial records because doing so preserves public confidence and protects the reputations of the powerful and their business endeavors.